Hey y'all, Bloodwing here, back to bring some grumpiness to your internet, and welcome back to Redneck Radio, the live stream where today, because I'm freaking hungry and haven't eaten yet, you get an extra healthy side helping of biscuits and gravy, because that sounds really good right now. Love to have some. Uh, Hold on, I had to turn off the sound on the watch page. Um So, yeah, it's Saturday. I'm here, running a little behind today. I haven't had a chance to even think about who to have on or anything, but I'll probably pull somebody here before too long. But I had to run up to work for two reasons. I worked last night, but I was so busy I just plumb forgot about buying. I was almost out of tobacco and meant to buy some and didn't, so I had to run up and get that. And I had to get my schedule because since my manager has been off all week, hurt her back, the schedule hadn't got done yet until this morning. So had to get that. Speaking of which, now that I've got the schedule, it looks like next week is going to be a one stream week. I'm sorry, guys, but I have to work both Tuesday and Saturday. So Thursday will probably be the only stream day. Um, Also, Redneck Trek, not this week, but next week, will probably premiere a half hour later at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because I do have to work Sunday. And we don't close until 5. And by the time I do the things I need to do after closing and get home, it's pushing 5:30. So, um, need to push it back just a little bit. Oh, thank you, Owen Harmon, for the donation. Here's a little treat from old Saint Nick. Bless you, old man, and love to all the family. Merry Christmas. You too. You too. Thank you. Uh, Appreciate that. But yeah, running a little behind this morning. I got up about 8:30 this morning, which is sleeping way in for me. But I was a little slow moving, so it took me a while to get loosened up and lubricated up and moving to get up there. And anyway, I'm here. I'm here. I ran in and opened up my computer at about 10 after 2, so about 20 minutes ago, and got everything set up. So uh, trying to catch my breath now. But yeah, so only one stream next week, and Redneck Trek will probably premiere a half hour later than usual. Now this week it will be on time because I do not work tomorrow. Also, if you remember, I mentioned it might be a little long one. Well, that's changed. I have found a way to edit it down a little bit, so this episode probably won't be as long. Next episode might be, depending on how I'm able to edit it. I've already got the footage recorded for next week as well, so we'll see how that turns out. Uh, all you need, hey, buddy, I know how you feel, buddy. Yeah, yeah. But I'm going to finish editing this week's episode and get it ready for rendering tonight after I go to bed. But how is everybody doing? I hope your weekends are good. Hope you're having a good, relaxing weekend. Um, I know I am other than all the running, but I don't plan on leaving my chair a whole lot for the rest of the day. At least I hope not. J Kid, no dues or cigs. I've been better. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, or I would have, your mom went to take Boo the car. I would have sent some cigarettes and dues with her if I'd have known that, son. Sorry. But I hope everybody overall, at least, is doing doing good. Um I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm finally physically starting to get used to being back to work again. That doesn't mean that I don't hurt terribly after I finish a shift, but that's going to probably be all the time. But my recuperation time is a lot shorter than than it was. I'm usually feeling better by a couple of hours after I get off. But it's just all that time on my feet that's the killer. It just really gets to my back and hips, and I need some new shoes. My feet are killing me, but we'll get around to that. We'll get around to that now that I'm making a little bit of extra money. Um, but other than my brain farted, forgot where I was at. Uh, so I hope everybody's good, like I said, and I'm keeping my eyes out for who shows up, who I can maybe bring in to help me out here. I can carry the stream on my by myself, I'm pretty sure, but I work better if I have somebody to bounce off of. It makes it a lot easier, a whole lot easier. Uh, Jake says I'm all right since I don't have to go to a party. Yeah, he's not much of a people person, and I'm not either, for that matter. That part he probably takes off of me. Um, but soup, Jack. Can I say soup? What about soup? I like soup. Some soup. I really love egg drop soup, but it's probably my one of my, if not my favorite, it's one of my favorites. Bring on J Kid. Well, that's up to him. That's up to him. Deck Train says Alex is off. Yeah, I was kind of waiting to see if he showed up in the chat. I was going to invite him on, but we'll see what happens. I'm still good, okay, at the moment, but we'll see what happens. Michael Weiner says, "Let me some egg drop soup myself." Keeper Dam, I like egg drop soup with the crusty noodles. I prefer mine without the noodles, but it's okay with the noodles. Jen says he was up late on Monday stream, or is that up early? Probably up early for Alex, because yeah, he is ahead of us North Americans. Yeah, he might be sleepy. Now, Sean, be nice. No, Badger man. I like Badger. He's a good kid. He's a good kid, and I enjoy Badger. Don't always agree with everything he says, especially about football, but he's a good kid. Be nice. And yes, we all know that Alex is a little bit off. That is for sure and certain. Uh, Jen, are you able to come on? At least help me fill some of the dead air and talk to the people while I go to the bathroom later, because you know that's going to happen. You know it is. And I know there's a delay. Okay, there we go. Well, I'll send you. Let me find you on my Twitter. I swear my Twitter gets more and more cluttered. Give me just a second here. I'll try to make sure you don't have any dead air while I'm looking, but it is tough for me sometimes to do two things at once. Well, most of the time, not just sometimes. And if I can see, because it suddenly got dark here. Clouds must have rolled in. And I don't have any lights on in the house. All right, got a link sent to you, Jen, and I'll look for you. Monkey's hanging out with his granddaughters. Good for him. Good for him. That's as a grandparent, I can say that's one of the best things in life, right there. Hanging out with your grandkids. And I went home. Yes, I know you don't much care for Badger, but I like Badger. Anybody that I have on the stream is I consider my friends, so they are my friends. So, out of respect for me, be nice, please. It is kind of hard to believe that I've yet to join the show. Yeah, J Kid, it is. But I've always left that up to you. You know, if you want to come on, just say so, and I'll send you a link. Michael, your grandkids are awesome. They sure beat kids. Yeah, with grandkids, it's completely different than your own kids. Usually you're not responsible for making sure that they behave. Hopefully, you're in a position to just spoil them up and send them home, and that's different than raising your own kids. It's a whole different experience, and now that I've reached this point in my life, I love spending time with my grandkids. Yeah, it goes political sometimes, Jacob, but you know me, I try to pull it back to other things too. So anyway, up to you. Yeah, Michael, it is better. It is better. And don't get me wrong, I love my kids. Oh, there's Jen.
Hey, sorry, I took a second to change my avatar because I've been using the same 5 rotationally, and my parents have the cutest puppy, so I'm like, okay, this is him as an adult since he's been a puppy for like 9 years, according to my my avatar. So,
well, yeah, nothing wrong with that. I love me some doggos. Me, I'm just a person of habit. I've had this same avatar since I started YouTube.
I love your avatar. I can't even remember the cartoon it's from, but like I kind of do.
Well, actually, I stole it off a coffee cup.
Yeah, it used to be my dad would buy these like cards, and I recognize the old guy because he used to be in a lot of like birthday cards, Christmas cards.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's probably where the mug got it.
I'm almost afraid to change it at this point because brand recognition. You know, everybody sees this avatar and they say, "Oh, that's Bloodwing." And I'm not one of these freaking millennials like people I won't mention names. Alex always changing their avatars and their Twitter usernames, and every time you turn around, I hate that. People I follow, he's one that does it all the time. Weibo Jones does it like on the daily, and they'll post something. I'm like, who the heck is that? Oh, that's Weibo.
Speaking about puppies, I had a little thing earlier where I'm a little bit nervous because I did my running around with my mom early this morning. You know, get the groceries and a couple of other stops because we're making Christmas cookies for one of my brother's friends because he's helped us out a lot during the year.
Yeah.
And so we stopped at a Walmart, and these people left their dog outside. So normally I don't care, like, you know, leave your dog out. You know, it's kind of cold out, so, you know, maybe not longer than 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But, you know, some people just can't leave their dogs at home for some reason. But she looks like she's just had puppies because she's got the full, you know, hanging boobies out.
Yeah.
And she was there for at least a good 30 minutes. You know, once you start hitting a certain period of time, I start either getting mad at the owners or I start wondering if this dog's been abandoned. You know, because I'm the type to at least take it home and try to help find its parents if they're not around. You know, if somebody just abandoned their dog, I don't know. Like, there's this part of me that just doesn't, even if I ended up taking it to like the pound or something afterwards, I don't know, or I don't know. It bothered me.
Yeah, yeah, I
don't
don't blame
don't
you.
don't don't leave your dogs out for longer than like 10 to 15 minutes, like in the cold like that. It's just I don't know. It's like people with dogs in cars.
Yeah, yeah, I hate when I see them leave him in a hot car. It's been pretty cold here. Actually, though, the last 2 days, it's not been bad. I mean, it's still jacket weather, but I'm pretty comfortable running around out there with my jacket wide open, and it's sunny, so that helps warm it up a little bit. And it's not been as bad as it was the couple of days before that, because it got better cold there for a couple of days. But
Yeah, I always have to check my conversions when I'm talking to you guys in the
yeah.
US.
Well, I know we're the oddballs. We're the only ones, I think, that still use Fahrenheit.
Well,
You
and
know,
this is
and
math that I learned in like grade school. It's just they don't really we don't really use it, right? If I was in and out of the US, I would, the conversion would always be there, but because I don't. Yeah,
yeah,
it's -4 Celsius here, so that is 24. So I mean, it's not the coldest day, but like early in the morning, you're looking at something like -8. So like -8, you're working in a cooler at -8. So you probably have a coat. But if you sit in there for like a good 30 minutes and you
yeah,
don't have those things,
yeah. I just usually
yeah.
eyeball it because I
Yeah.
know that it's about 20 degrees
Mhm.
difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit.
Mhm.
So I'm usually close enough by eyeballing it. Oh, well, that's about this, and I'm usually within a degree or two. If I were to guess today, I'm going to look just to be sure. But if I were to guess, I'd say it's in the upper 30s or 40s. Yep, 42 degrees Fahrenheit. So,
Yeah, the J Kid's saying that in your neighborhood, a lot of people leave their dogs outside. Like, do
yep.
they like, usually you have a dog house that you've insulated or something, like,
A lot of the
at least,
time, a lot of the time. Now, we used to have a neighbor here, and I hated it because I just felt like he's mistreated these
yeah,
dogs terribly.
yeah,
Did not give them a house. They would be outside chained up, and they weren't even in the backyard. They were in the space between our houses, so that they constantly kept me awake because it's right outside my bedroom window. But they'd be outside. It'd be, sub-zero weather in Fahrenheit, and in Fahrenheit, zero is 32 degrees below freezing.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
that's enough to like that. Like people don't think like your animal. I mean, yes, dogs are built to be out in the cold. Like some dogs really are. Like they have the coats, but even if you have that coat, like even a wolf has a den.
Yeah.
You know, even a coyote has a den.
Yeah. Now, we used to have a dog, and I've talked about him before. Shady. I named him Shade, and he was. Uh, his mother was a full-blooded Chesapeake, which is a very large, long-haired breed of Labrador,
Okay, yeah,
and they're a water dog. And they actually have webbed feet. And his father was a mix between a Chow and a Husky. Beautiful dog, but had Chesapeakes have much longer hair than your normal lab. They have hair probably a little longer than a German Shepherd, just slightly longer, and
okay,
it
yeah,
and it's wavy. It's kind of wavy. It's not curly, but it's kind of wavy. Very thick hair because they're a water dog,
yeah,
to protect themselves. That dog, it didn't matter how cold it was, he wanted to go outside. And I
yeah,
did not have a doghouse for him. And but it didn't matter. I'd go to bring him in. He didn't want to come in. He
yeah,
didn't care. He loved it.
yeah. Like some of them are made for the cold. Like I mean, some of them are even more comfortable because of the cold. I do acknowledge that too. It's just like I said, like there comes a point where like overnight and she's probably fine. Like this looks like somebody's pet. It's just when you leave them out there like that, it's just like
Yeah.
ugh. And she looked like she just had puppies. And I'm always like, okay, I know there's a period where like, you give away the puppies, she's probably already weaned them off, but I don't know.
Of course, Shady was a bit different. He was a bit different. Most dogs don't like to go out and use the bathroom if it's raining. Not him. If he heard it was raining, he was begging to go out. He wanted to go out and play in the rain. The
I had
dog was crazy.
I hate to break it to you, all you need, but at 100 C's in Canada, I would die.
That's pretty hot, 112 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
I've been in weather that hot when I went to visit my daughter when she was stationed in Yuma, Arizona.
Yeah.
But I did not like it. Did not like it at all. It was literally hot enough to fry an egg on the pavement.
Yeah.
I mean, without any trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I overheat in that. That's when I'm just like, okay, there's only so much clothing that I can take off legally.
Now, here where I live in the Midwest, in Indiana, it can reach 100 degrees. That's not normal. 90 degrees is very common, high 90s, but we also have that high humidity that's common in the American Midwest. So that just makes it worse.
Yeah, we actually we managed to skip that one altogether. Like my province is very low humidity, very low humidity. So like the last year, I would say it was kind of a little bit high for us because of the rain. So once the heat kicked in, it was just miserable because we had that lingering humidity. Like we are the place where when you get off the plane, you kind of want to go to the store and buy like at least a liter of water and just start drinking it. But that's we're kind of nestled around mountains everywhere. Like the minute you walk out of the airport, you're gonna see the mountains like they're your neighbor. And that's just kind of part of the package.
Yeah, if it gets very humid here, and if anybody in the chat lives in the American Midwest, they know exactly what I'm talking about because all the weather, like in the Ohio Valley here, what they call the Ohio Valley, which is Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, that area. We get the pretty much the same weather, pretty much. And in the summertime, it's very common to walk outside and just be covered in wet. You can't sweat that fast, but there's just so much humidity, you're just wet. And
see,
that's
I would say, like, I mean, we do get hot. Like I said, we do get hot, but we never get that hot. So for me, I'm crying when it's like 65 Fahrenheit, 70 Fahrenheit.
That's comfortable for me. Well, 65 would be comfortable. That's about what I keep it in the house. Freeze J Kid to death and my wife. I freeze them to death.
Yeah, see, for me, like that's hot. For me, that's hot. I'm actually comfortable at 20 C, so that's 50 Fahrenheit is my most comfortable. If I'm going out in like summer clothing, then 70 is probably more accurate to it. But I don't know. I like full clothing.
Yeah, Deck Train says lake effect. I'm not far enough. I'm not far enough north to get the lake effect. If I lived a little further north in Indiana, we would, because Lake Michigan actually borders us to the north as you get close to Chicago. We don't really get that here because we're too far away. I live in Indianapolis, which is just, if you threw a dart at a map of Indiana, we're just right dead center, just right in the middle. But yeah, we don't usually get that lake effect stuff, but I have seen it, traveling north in Indiana or to Chicago. They get it quite a lot. That's why they'll get snow when we don't, oftentimes, because of the lake effect.
So I'm not suggesting this for this weekend, but I did mention to Functional because he does his side of our stream today after. I believe it's 6 his time, so he's Eastern.
Yeah.
I don't know. For next weekend, we were thinking about seeing if we could either invite you or Jade Kid on, because we've jumped onto your stream a couple. Well, I know.
What day is it? What day is it?
So he does his on the Saturday.
I
But we
have to
do.
work this Saturday.
Okay, so like maybe like as long as you know in advance at some
Yeah.
point, if you have a day off or something. But yeah, we were thinking we'd like to do that, like have you or Jake Kid on one of our streams one of these days. So
Sure.
yeah,
Uh, so,
5 p.m. Yeah.
functional system. So, what the blazes is going on in Indiana? Nothing ever happens in Indiana. And I see the J kids in the same thing. Nothing ever happens in Indiana, and that's not always a bad thing. That's not always a bad thing. It's often been said of Indianapolis, which is not a small town. It's not a huge mega city like New York or LA like that, but we have about close to 1 million people in Indianapolis.
Yeah, you got
Uh,
you got neighbors.
yeah. So, but it's often said about this town that it's a city with a small town atmosphere. You know, kind of. We're a little bit more laid back, most of
Yeah,
us.
that's what Calgary used to be. I mean, when I was a kid, that's what I would probably picture it, because Calgary has that still. Like it, there's certain areas of the town where you kind of have that feel for what it was before the boom. But we're at 3 million people now, so our little small town city feel is gone.
Jake says, especially in Indianapolis, there's a reason it's nicknamed Naptown. That's not why it was nicknamed Naptown, but I get you. But have a pizza. He's ravaging. Well, you just ravage that pizza. You can have my part of it because I'm not a huge pizza.
Oh, Alex is in the chat.
Read DMs whenever you're able to, sir. Well, I'll go over here and look.
Good afternoon, Alex. Or I guess it's evening now. Good evening. Doing the math in my head, which should be easy.
Oh, I forgot. I was looking for you, and you changed your freaking Twitter name again.
It's like clothing, like
Okay.
he
says he may be able to join us later, and so I will go ahead and send you a link. If you feel up to using it, use it. Just make sure you let me know because I'm not actually watching the stream page to see if you jump in. But sent you a link just in case, Alex. But yeah, I was looking through my list looking for all right, Alex, and I forgot he changed his Twitter name for the holidays. Yeah, well, I didn't repeat it, Alex. I just if you feel up to it, that's all. Okay, so where were we? Oh, we were talking about Indianapolis. We can quit talking about that. We can quit talking about that. It's not always a bad thing to be where a place where nothing happens all the time. I've lived here most of my life, and I like it here. A lot of people don't, I guess, but I like it here. Wished I lived in a little better neighborhood, but that's probably never going to happen because I'm not rich, and the rent around here's in my price range.
Yeah, it's one of those things I miss about that small town, big town feeling. Was rent used to be a lot cheaper, and
well, there's areas of town where rent is way out of my range. Trust me. Like north side, forget about it. That's where all the rich people live. Up north and further west, just outside of Indianapolis, like around Plainfield and around. A lot of them have moved out there.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we still have a few areas of Calgary that are like that, but it's just mostly they kind of capitalized on the fact that we were overpopulated. I'd say 5 years ago. Back before the turd was elected, Calgary was full. So it's not that the reason rent was expensive was just because, well, you didn't have your pickings. I would imagine rent right now is probably crashed for a lot of landlords because everyone is either moving out of town or like they're desperate to fill buildings. And it's just, it's been an interesting year.
Cryptic says Indy is too flat. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? If you want to see hills, just drive just a little bit south. Southern Indiana is very hilly, very hilly. I remember learning in school, in grade school, why that was. Is they claim that the massive glacier that covered a lot of North America back during the last ice age had come down to just south of Indianapolis. So that's why there's no hills in northern Indiana and lots of them in southern Indiana. So that's just what they say. I don't know.
Yeah. Functional already called him out. Like, Cryptic likes them chunky. I'm like, Cryptic likes them well endowed.
Like some chunky, yeah. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with being flat.
No.
We're not completely flat. I mean, there are some hills.
It's not bad for growing. Like, aren't you? Are you guys kind of a farmer state? Like, growing food?
Let me put it this way to you, Jen. A few years ago, they were running a what would you call it, where they advertised the tourism campaign, and their tourism catchphrase was, "There is more than corn in Indiana." Because that's what we're known for, corn. Because there are tons, and you can, I live in Indianapolis. I can drive 5 minutes and see nothing but cornfields all around.
I'm going to break Alex's brain a little bit here by saying you guys make the best corn mazes ever.
Yeah, it's lots of corn in Indiana. Corn and soybean.
But yeah, no, that's kind of what I thought. Like Saskatchewan's kind of more like you guys than we are. Like they have mountains too, but you have to go far up north to get those. Whereas here you're driving for like 40 minutes and you're going to run smack dab into tons of mountains.
Yeah.
Take your pick. Whereas Saskatchewan, you're probably going to be driving 9 hours straight up, if not more, before you hit mountains.
Yeah, it's the opposite here. You got to go south to get any kind of hills. We don't have any mountains per se, but we got some pretty good hills in southern Indiana, and then in northern Indiana, we have the Indiana Dunes, which are sand dunes, believe it or not, formed on the shores of Lake Michigan. So.
But also you got to take into account, like, provinces are huge in comparison to the states. Like, I think Alberta, like, I don't think there's many provinces that are smaller than, say, Texas. I mean, once you hit the Maritimes, that's where you get our small guys. But everywhere else, like the main provinces, we're about the size of Texas. So, like, we're fitting into you guys into one province. So, yeah, you're going to get mixtures of everything.
Yeah, Indiana is probably about the size of Israel, maybe slightly larger.
Yeah,
somewhere in that range.
Yeah, so yeah, you're fitting in a couple of you in my province.
But yeah. But that's the great thing about the United States. If you don't like the scenery or the weather where you're at, shoot, just take a road trip, drive a couple of states, and it's completely different.
Yep. Yeah, it was one of those things my mom and I were joking about. This secret belief that we have that Eastern Canada resents us, mostly not because of the oil so much as because we have fake weather here. So, like, every day this week that I've complained about it being cold, like, I'm like, oh, it's -4C here, and Functional's like, it's minus like 14, 16 here, you jackass. And it's like that the whole year. Like, it's.
Owen Harmons asks why they're called provinces instead of states. Probably
because we were a colony.
Yeah, probably because Canada held on to their England connection a lot longer than we did.
Functional's like, we're literally mid blizzard right now.
Yeah. And it's kind of a misnomer to say that there are at least two of our states, I say with quotation marks, that are actually
Technically speaking, you guys used to have a province, but you changed it into a state. It's called Alaska. Because a lot of provinces, it's also a term that the Russians use. Like the Russians have provinces too. It's literally a colony thing.
But technically speaking, there are two of our states, I say with air quotes, that are actually not labeled as states. They are commonwealths. One of them is Kentucky, and I forget who the other one is off the top of my head. But I do know there are two of them. Kentucky is technically a commonwealth, not a state.
John Connor, I hate to break it to you, but we could fit all of Canada into half of a province and still have space. We just don't. We like our space. We've always kind of, if you really look at us, we're really spread out, and it's kind of antisocial in a way. Like, I mean, yes, there's the big cities, like 3 million people in my city. It's not small. I think Alex wants your attention.
I think maybe you're right. Penis.
I think his penis is in erect mode.
Indeed. How are we? Hello. How are we going?
Hello.
Hi.
So when I say things like corn maze, does that like
No.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, you got my joke, but
Cryptic says there's more than two. Is there more than two? I don't know. It's been a while since I've done my state history, but I know that there were some that are technically not states. They are commonwealths. No difference, just in what's labeled on their constitution and on their state flags. So, hey, Batman. Hi.
I'm not Batman.
No, I was saying hi to Batman in the chat because he's spamming it now. Don't
say hello to him. He's a Geordie. He's a fat-lipped Geordie bastard.
How you doing, Alex? Or Lexi Chan?
Lexi Chan. I'll tell you. Tell the fucking chat. I didn't join the chat because my body was having a panic attack. Not my mind, my body. It came out of nowhere. I was finishing up my video. I was trying to, get it uploaded. And then I started feeling sick. And then I started shaking quite violently. And then I got really hot and nauseous and wanting to die. Because that's what anxiety attack feels like. They make you want to it feels like you're having a heart attack. Yeah. Well, you can call me a pussy all you like, RJ. You obviously haven't had an anxiety attack before. It came out of nowhere.
You're doing better now, though.
I'm getting there. I'm recovering from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's extremely tiring. It wasn't of the mind.
Yeah, my roommate had them.
Just sit right there and talk with old Papaw for a while. Here, sit on my knee. And
I don't want to. It's very uncomfortable.
You're probably right, because my legs are pretty scrawny and bony.
To be fair, though, I think I wouldn't give you a dead leg by sitting on it. Have you seen how skinny I am?
I have, and I get a little worried about you, boy. You're not eating.
No, I don't eat as much as I should be eating, but shush.
Is it just like your
Fuck me, I'm dizzy.
It's something that I've noticed with myself. It's just a lack of interest in food. It's not that I don't get hungry or I don't want to eat. It's just a lack of interest. I don't even think about it half the time.
I forget to eat all the time.
Yeah. I forget.
I think that's an old person thing.
Yeah, I forget or I put it off I'll put it off an hour and then another hour and then another hour and then all of a sudden I feel like grossly sick. And I'll eat a little bit, but just enough to make myself not feel gross anymore. And
Cryptic asks if he's under 150 pounds. I'm not sure how much he weighs, but I'm pretty sure I weigh more than he does at this point.
No, I'm not under 150. I know that I'm not. My weight fluctuates very aggressively throughout the day. I know that doesn't make sense, but it does. I weigh myself in the morning. I weigh myself in the afternoon. I weigh myself in the evening. Every time I weigh myself, it's different. Last week, I weighed myself in the morning and I weighed just over 12 stone. That's 170 pounds. I weighed myself in the evening. I
Yeah.
weighed 13 stone. Somehow I gained 14 pounds. How? And next day it was gone again.
Had you took a dump yet?
It must have been a big poo. Like,
Yeah.
15-pound poo, though, that had to have hurt. You would remember that.
I did have one of those poos last week. you know, one of them that hurt. And it takes. You have to. And you.
Yeah, but you get such a feeling of pride once you're done, and
you're like, oh my god, thank God it's out of me.
Yeah.
Another thing that might be doing it for you, and I'm not a doctor, so don't call me on this one, but do you take anything? Because you said that you were a little bit
ADHD medication.
Yeah, that's the first thing my thought was, because my brother had issues with those and his weight, because it speeds you up. Like it's what it's supposed to do. Like it would speed him up, and it would speed everything up. It wasn't just the mental stuff, it was the physical stuff too.
It doesn't speed me up, it slows me down as it's supposed to.
Well,
that's
yeah.
People with ADHD, that's the purpose of it. It's it's supposed to slow you down, that's calm you down, and it does calm me down. It allows me to think, it allows me to speak a lot clearer, and communicate a lot better than what I'm normally able to, because when I'm not, I don't know if you saw me the other day when I wasn't on my medication, but I tend to bounce off the freaking walls.
Yes, he does. I wasn't around the other day, but I've been around numerous times when Alex is off his meds.
Yeah. The medication, it is, like I said, people with ADHD, we are different to the rest of you. We have caffeine in our system, and we don't react the same. It doesn't give us energy. It does passively, in the kind of way where you don't
It
you
generally
can still
has
feel tired.
Yeah, it generally has the opposite effect, though. It'll calm you down.
Yeah, but it doesn't kind of put you to sleep either. Like you can, if you're if I was tired, like I am right now, if I was to take my meds right now, I wouldn't be able to sleep for the rest of the night, but I'd be tired, but I still couldn't sleep. It's kind of weird. On one hand, it has the opposite effects of caffeine that does on most people, but on the other hand, it also kind of does the same thing, if that makes sense. Like it fucks with the body, but it does other things to the mind, and that's the weird thing. I've never had an anxiety attack that wasn't of the mind, and that's why it freaked me out.
Mama Minnie there in the chat says, I'm ADHD and I'm a manic mess. Without caffeine, it's definitely calming. Yeah, she's been very hyper ever since she was, I think ever since she was born. And when she was little, and the same for her oldest son, he's very hyper. I could just give him a couple of sips of coffee and she would calm right down. Just be bouncing off the freaking walls, literally.
Yeah. The thing is, I've been learning a lot about ADHD recently. There's a channel on YouTube called How to ADHD. Very interesting stuff. If you go and watch them, the lady explains you don't need to be physically hyperactive to have ADHD. That's a common misconception. Your mind just needs to race violently, and that's enough to be classed as ADHD. After all, that's how the test works. When you do the test, they attach a disc to your forehead that's held on by a band, so you look like a right dick when you're sat there in front of this computer. And basically how they measure it is, while you're doing this little test, it's based on you thrashing around whilst you're doing the test. Now, when I was on Ritalin, which has a much more aggressive kind of chemical, I would say, in it than what I'm on right now, in terms of, the Ritalin is basically the blood wing of the ADHD medications. It's really bitter, and if you piss it off, it smiles at you. And you fucking know about it. Ritalin's very different. I was on Ritalin when I had my first ADHD test, proper test, and there were still lines thrashing around. That's how bad I am, right? Couple
of people mentioning the title of the stream in the chat. That's because I couldn't think of a proper title. I was running behind today, as I already said, and I couldn't think of a proper
Change
title.
it to butterfly.
I just said blah, blah, blah.
Change it to butterfly.
See, like that's such an extreme difference to me. So for me, I have learning disabilities. So it's not that I can't figure things out quickly. It's just
that you're retarded. I'm joking.
I learned. Believe me. Dealing with teachers who don't. This is the thing. I'm sure you had issues from a different angle.
Oh no, you and me are similar in that respect, Jen. I too have learning difficulties. Don't forget, when I went to go have my ADHD test the first time round, they didn't have the camera equipment and stuff they need to do it. And me and Vanilla Bear were sat down and we were joking about me having autism. Yeah, because internet culture, and she went, and the lady I was sat with, the ADHD specialist, and she looked and she went, "Yeah, you probably do have autism." And I went, "Oh no!" It backfired, and she gave me a test, and she was like, "This test was developed by Sacha Baron Cohen's dad. Did you know that? His dad's like a autism specialist."
Huh.
Yeah, Borat.
Yeah.
Yeah, his dad's a fucking autism specialist. He created this test, and the test is 10 questions, and you can score out of 10. But the pointing system and the way that it's done is actually far more complex than what it gives. It's not just a case of yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And I scored 9 out of 10.
I wouldn't be surprised if I took it that I wouldn't do similar. Because like, there's been moments where I look back and it's just. You weren't diagnosed for this kind of stuff back in my age, in school.
Well, we're same age, aren't we, Jen?
I'm a little bit older than you, but not by much. I'm 38. So I think you said you were like, what, 33?
Well, no, I'm 32 in March.
32 in March. Okay. So, but I mean, that stretch isn't that much different. In all honesty, when it came to this stuff, it really came out in and around that time. And so like, they didn't know anything about it. So when I was in school, like I know where I was failing in terms of learning, because if you gave me something that was multiple choice, I passed it every single time because I knew what the answers were. I do know what the answers are.
But you needed that in front of you. You couldn't have thought of the answer yourself, right?
No, not even a bit. And
I feel you.
when you realize that that's an issue, it's just like, okay, the knowledge is in my head. I know it's there because I pick out the answers. I know what the answers are. But when it comes to writing it down, nope, it's not going to happen. And it's the same with writing. Like for the writing, they know right away when you're dyslexic with math, but for some reason
it's called dysgraphia.
Yeah, and they don't give a shit about it when you write.
Or dyscalculia. I can't remember which one is which.
J Kid in the chat says, "I know how I was failing in school. I slept in every class," which he did. I'd have people come home and tell me. But that's because you were like I was, J Kid, in school. It was just too easy. It was too easy. I'd done absolutely nothing in high school and still graduated midterm. Yeah. It was just too easy. I always test well. I never done homework, never took anything home.
I never did my homework either.
I didn't go to class. I mean, at least if I'd gone to class for something.
Well, I'd go to class, but 9 times out of 10, I'd be stoned out of my mind.
Yeah.
When I was in class.
Yeah, see, for me,
I have to tell Bloodwing something quickly before it goes out of my head. Yeah. Bloodwing, the safeguarding officer who works with me, she's an older lady. I think she's of your generation, and she used to live in Hawaii. And she used to grow weed in Hawaii.
Right.
So I'm like, hold on a second. Bloodwing said the 70s were blurry as shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, there could have been a chance that you landed in Hawaii, buying weed from my safeguarding officer.
Well, maybe Hawaiian was very sought after marijuana in the 70s.
Yeah,
that we called it Maui Wowie.
Yeah, she's certainly old enough, I'd say, to be of that generation. So sorry, Jen, please continue.
But to take it back to the caffeine, and I'm going somewhere with this. For me, I'm not ADHD. I don't guess I'm autistic. I might be a little bit retarded, but but I'm not, autistic. I don't think, but certainly not ADHD. But I am so immune to caffeine because I've consumed so much of it over the last couple of decades. 3 or 4 decades. That all it does is keep me even. I get a headache if I don't drink it. I get a massive headache if I don't get my caffeine. And it doesn't make me hyper. It really doesn't wake me up or give me energy or anything like it. It just keeps me even. That's it. Unfortunately. And speaking of which, I made a fresh pot of coffee before I started the stream. It's now done. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. I'm not even going to mute my mic. That's how short it'll be.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, for I'd say a good 2 months, almost 2.5 months during the summer, I wasn't drinking any coffee at all. But I was kind of tackling the worst part of my diet during those months because it's easier to get out and walk around in the summer than it is in the winter. Because up here, our city is trying.
No, you should be okay. You have armored battle moose.
Well, I dress like I'm wearing an armored battle moose just because.
Do you not in Canada in the winter pour maple syrup everywhere? Like that's got to help, like keep your feet on the ground.
That's more Quebec. They do this thing for festivals where they will make maple lollies and they'll pour it on the snow and then they just use it's usually like an ice cream stick to just kind of scoop it up in a circle. And it becomes an instant maple lolly because it freezes. But no, we don't do that. We don't actually have maple trees where I am.
Real quick, as I got back, I see that Mama Minnie says she got straight A's. She's talking about she went back to school. I got straight A's my first semester. Last day was yesterday, and I'm relieved. I suck at exams. Good job, sweetie. But there's nothing wrong with your brain. You and J Kid are both very intelligent. It just works in different ways, and you
learn differently.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of what I was getting at with it. It's not that the learning disabilities mean that you're stupid, and this is the frustration that I've had with the schools, and they haven't fixed it. They've actually made it worse, as far as what I can tell looking in. But it's just a different way of learning. It's one of those things where a big classroom cannot provide for learning disability kids because we need a different way of learning what it is that we're doing. And it takes a little bit more time with a one-on-one teacher who maybe has different ways of going about things. Because
see, that was one of the problems, and I kind of mentioned it earlier when I went to school. The high school I went to, and my kids all went to the same high school, is very large. I mean, just to give an idea how large it was, like I said, I graduated in January midterm, and the midterm graduation class was 270 kids.
That's a lot. That's
just how many seniors graduated in January. And so the classes were very huge. So you didn't get much one-on-one time. It wasn't challenging. I was bored to death in school because it was just too easy. It was just way too easy for me because I didn't have to pay any attention. I always test well, like I said, because most tests are common sense, And like Jen said, if they give you multiple choice, it's not, you've got a 25% chance of picking the right answer.
And the thing is I knew what the answers were, so it made it easy. Like if they hadn't done that, I would have failed most of the time. It's actually the same with IQ tests. You really see where my intelligence is when they get to the different pictures, like any kind of matching something, what's the next series, because anytime that was half of the test, I was getting, my IQ was like 124. But when you started getting into maths, that's where I struggled because it's not even that I can't do math. It's just the wrong teacher could have just taught me to figure it out with like a puzzle in mind. Because once my brain realizes it's a puzzle, I can figure it out.
I'm not gonna. Alex knows what it is, or he's been told before what my IQ is, but I'm not gonna mention it because it's the same as somebody else that used to brag about their IQ on the internet, and I don't want to bring that up.
Whereas we Brits don't test for IQ because we realize that IQ is worthless.
It is.
It is.
It absolutely is.
It is.
IQ can't test your emotional intelligence. It can't test your creative intelligence. It can't even test your actual intelligence either. It's a fucking useless thing.
Yeah.
Don't bother.
My IQ would be considered high, and look at me. I'm barely, make
alive.
bills.
I know.
Just barely alive. live in a bad neighborhood, you know.
I realized that my speech suddenly sped up after I calmed down. That's probably because the thing is that the medication that I'm on is a slow release. And it's very likely that it suddenly released an extra, or maybe it could have released too much at once,
Here, take this kick in the butt.
It's like, yeah, go, 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 go. I didn't feel well, but I feel okay now.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
That was not nice. That was not fucking nice at all.
So now that that's all over, at least for the moment behind you, what have you been up to, man? I haven't talked to you for a few days.
Work.
Yeah. Well, me too.
Yeah. The last block of days off I had before this block on, I got really worried because there was an incident between me and that female resident I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She the problem is with her is that she's like Shani in that she knows that she has ADHD. She knows that she has BPD, and because she's been in the system so long, she's developed the most negative "I can't do it" attitude. And I was worried and stuff because she's the type of person to make false allegations because she doesn't like somebody. Now, as I said, I received an email from her. She called me some names in that particular email, and that was out of fucking line, what she said. In fact, my boss was so angry, she called the police on my behalf because it was a malicious communication. And I wasn't asked with that, and I didn't press charges. I could have, but I chose not to because I'm a fucking YouTube shitlord superstar. Rap! Don't ever let me do that again. And I was concerned because she's a shit-stirring ball bag, right? She's a shit-stirring fuck. And I thought she was going to go around telling the other residents and stuff that I was so-and-so, because that's what she usually... I've seen her do it. She does it with other residents that she doesn't like. I was concerned about it. I lost an entire night of sleep because it was stressing me out that much. I managed to calm myself down. I kicked myself up the arse. I gave myself the same kind of kick that I needed last time, Bloodwing. You know what the kick I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I just screwed my fucking head back on and said, no, not doing it. Not doing this shit. I'm not doing this shit again. No fucking way. I went back to work and she acted very differently to how I thought she was going to. I won't go into this on stream, but I'll explain it to you afterwards in private. But anyway, she wanted to make good with me, and I sat her down in the office with my female colleague present with the cameras on, because you have to be careful around some of my residents, and we had a long discussion. We spoke about the incident, we resolved it. We both put it down to a miscommunication. It wasn't a miscommunication, but whatever. I just accepted it for what it was because I didn't want her to kick off, Mm-hmm. It's not, to me, it's not that big of a deal, but to my boss, it's a huge fucking deal. And I've never actually seen my boss angry before. My boss has the look and demeanor of a middle school teacher or an elementary teacher, but to see her go up like that, like 0 to 100, I was surprised, admittedly. But anyway, after we got past the bullshit, with my resident, she kept making excuses, So I was like, well, you can improve this. No, I can't. Like, yes, you can. It's like, you have ADHD. ADHD is a fucking superpower, And I tried convincing her the positives of having and being a neurodiverse person, and it just wouldn't go in. I was like, mm-hmm. Well, BPD. I said, I know people. I said, I know people that have BPD, that have ADHD as well, and a few other things, but they've managed to pull themselves out. And I reiterated, I said, look, I'm not trying to take away from your own experience here, because everyone has their own unique experiences to this shit, but you can choose to look at it in a positive way.
Yeah.
I had the kick up. I had the biggest kick up my fucking ass. I'm not saying who it was, but somebody did it, and it helped. It really fucking helped. I managed to switch from being sad and fucking feeling sorry for myself all the time and hiding under the duvet to thinking, no, I'm going to go get my fucking life sorted. I'm not going to lean on anyone anymore. I'm going to go be a fucking man about this and look at it positive. And I went and got help, and I got the help I needed. And I did regress last week, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this shit again. I'm not doing this bullshit again. And I fucking slapped myself, pulled my fucking socks up. I left my pants down because I'm that type of guy. But no, I tried to explain this to her, but she just will not look at it like
Were
that.
they knee socks?
No, I wear sports socks, not the super sporty socks where it's just over your heel, but normal sports socks.
Oh, okay.
You know, where it goes over your ankle.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
those
just trying to
those are
get
the most
the-
comfortable for me.
I'm just trying to get the image in my head, you know.
Yeah.
But I like that term you used a minute ago, neurally diverse. I'm not stupid. I'm just neurally diverse.
Well, that's the term that they use, Bloodwing. They call it neurodiversity, which I admittedly does sound like some social justice bullshit, but it's just a term that they use. It's a medical term, you know. It's not a case of a social thing. And Faithless, I understand what you're saying, but it's most likely my medication. My medication, aka retarded. It's most likely my meds, mate. This is the first time it's happened on this medication.
That's
though,
like
'cause-
I'm not a sewer worker. I'm a sanitation engineer.
Exactly. Like, look, you got to look at it as the positives in life, haven't
Right.
you? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it makes sense to do that. It's not like everybody doesn't have something. At this point, I think everybody has something, and it's just people don't like talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's stupid because if everyone just acknowledged that we had our problems, we would just move on with it.
Yeah.
So, I'm not old. I'm life expectancy's challenged.
Right?
Exactly. Exactly. You know.
Yeah, I had a lot of thinking to do because one of my old neighbors passed away last night. It was. I've known this guy for probably. I actually had to stop and do the math because he wasn't my first neighbor across the street. Because that neighbor is actually my godfather, and he lives in the U.S. I have an American godfather. But I think he moved in when I was about 4. So for 34 years, I've known this guy, and it's one of those things growing up. Like I always had certain adults that I would call an uncle or an aunt, even if they weren't related to me, just because, close enough of a friend to the family. And it was just like his family on the block has probably been there as long as we have. And his wife was fantastic. And he's from Wales.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he was from Wales. I mean, she's from England. He's from Wales. And he's like, well, I want half my ashes are going to be scattered in Wales. And the other half are going to be scattered in Jasper, which, if you don't know, is a skiing resort in Canada. I'm like, that seems kind of awkward and like splits you in two, but whatever makes you happy.
Well,
But,
miserable. I'm watching the conversation in the chat. Well, you could be a happy one. That's different.
What?
Well, I don't feel sad.
I'm
saying
streaming with Bloodwing. You deaf
I
woman.
here I am bringing up this dark topic, but you know what? I'm not, I'm sad that for his family that he's gone, but I think it's one of those few times where someone that you love in your life passed on, but you don't feel bad about it as much because he did it so well. Like he's lived to see both his grandkids reach 10.
Yeah.
All 3 of his kids are married and settled and doing well. He was surrounded by his family when he went. He got everything on his bucket list done this year before he went. It's one of those times where like you're sorry that he's gone, but at the same time, if you had to go somehow, that's how you'd want to go. Warm and surrounded by your family. His wife was just like, well, at least he did it before Christmas, just before Christmas, so we can do all those arrangements during Christmas. It was kind of bad, but kind of good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Bubbly motherfucker, is that what they're calling it these days? I'm not on bloody Prozac, right? I'm not on Jen's fucking happy pills.
I don't even have those. I'm just
I
like
don't
that
believe
naturally.
you. Nobody's that fucking happy, Jen.
No, son, you know I am anything but bubbly. So
It's funny
yeah,
that you say that, because when I was on meds in early high school and elementary, because I was 13 when I went on this journey. I was a very young child in a very dark place for a really long time. But I've never the stuff they gave me did the opposite. I think if they hadn't put me on in the first place, I probably would have gotten through things a lot more smoothly, which is like most kids that they put stuff on. But I've always been a bubbly, happy person.
You're making me sick.
It's more the stuff.
Even me of all people, like I'm one of the bubbliest motherfuckers I know, right? And even you're like the fat woman from Sister Act.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not even fat. I've actually lost another 7 pounds, which is
Well
good.
done.
So I got another 35 to go before I'm like, I will be posting pictures when I get there. But
don't let Bloodwing stop you, because he likes to stop people from losing weight. Don't you? He likes people fat.
No,
He's
I
just
just
jealous.
don't like them too skinny. I get worried about you. I get worried about Misa.
Well, the thing is, I'm not trying to lose weight. There's a difference. Like, it's a natural occurrence. But, well, it's actually an unnatural.
Well, that doesn't mean I don't worry about. I worry about J-Kid too. That boy weighs a little bit of nothing.
If you were still at home just doing videos, like if you didn't have the job, I would be more concerned, because that would be signaling more something physical.
I think I wouldn't be as skinny as I am now.
Yes.
Because I'm way more active now, as I've said before. Like I had to patrol the outside of the building and the inside of the building, and
like you've got 3 factors at play that could all actually be actively doing it.
Hey, Vanilla.
Not just one. And
I'm also happier.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I'm going for. It's mostly just for my own health that I'm losing the weight, and for the mental health too. Because at my weight right now, I'm probably okay. Like, health wise, I would still be better 30 pounds lighter.
All I'm saying, I'll say to you, and I've said it to Misa, just don't go too far. Just don't go too far.
He likes them thick.
But it's not just
S with K's with him. It's not C's.
It's not just it's not really just the dieting though, because like once you lose the weight, it's the balancing it. It's like, how can I keep it within like a 15 to 20 pound series? So like if you have to go on a mini diet, okay, that's not a big deal. But at the same time, you don't want to drop too far. And that was where I failed last time. Because I was almost down 80 pounds the first time I went on the route of weight loss, and I was almost down to 140, and that's where I wanted to cap it. Because I'm I think I'm 5'4".
Yeah, you're tiny, you're teeny.
Yeah, but I'm not so teeny that it's amazing what 10 pounds will do. But I've always been kind of muscly as it is, because I've always walked everywhere, so my legs are. Once I lose the fat, I'm still going to have solid legs. Like I can't change that at this point.
Yeah, I need to start weight training myself. But Bloodwing, is it okay if I show you both something on stream right now? Because I've seen it on Twitter and I just can't not share this.
Okay.
So you guys know Foodie Booty, Chantel Marie, right?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So someone shared a screenshot from her video, and there's a chap there that's left a comment, and I really want you to focus on his comment. Because it's interesting.
There we go. Oh boy. You know what's sad is if this was just the one meal that she was having and everything else was small, it wouldn't be that bad.
That's full of gravy there.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you for farting emoji in this video. What a hottest woman eating Chinese food. People like him, like the feeders, we need to do something about the feeders.
Like if that was her one meal, like that was her treat meal for the week, it wouldn't be that bad, but you know that she's eating 3 of those a day.
Oh well, she might be probably more.
You know,
If she's snacking, like have you seen the fact that she's been dumpster diving as well? And like she comes back with just bags and bags and bags of Rolos or Maltesers or just bags of chocolate and other food, and she eats it.
yeah.
You dirty bitch! You're not poor. Why are you doing it?
I got to tell you something here, Alex. My brother is 550 pounds, and I live with him. I've given up.
Big boy.
I've given up on cooking for him because I can't do it. He will take a full bag of pasta, cook it with a jar of pasta sauce, mix in some butter, and he will eat the whole thing.
That's a meal for 4 right there.
Yes. Oh, yeah. More than that. That's a meal for like 6.
Well, it depends on how big the jar and the bags are. There might the typical like bag of pasta you get here with the jar. They're not that big.
Yeah.
It's mainly you could do a meal of 4.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need the full bag of pasta though.
Yeah. So like a full bag of what I'm getting, because like we're on low income too. So like the only reason I'm doing pasta is because like I can afford it. But the bags here for dry is 300 grams. So a 300-gram bag is probably, you're looking at 4 good size bowls or 6 side dishes, probably. But yeah, he'll eat that whole thing. And then that's not the only thing he'll eat. Like he'll go and snack during the day. I can't keep track of what he does. So half the time I'll bring home bags of like pre-cut up vegetables because he won't cut it up. Like it's a mental illness is what it is. Like it's a drug addict mental illness because it's a mixture of both. You know, because I will sit there and like, so we had this thing with frozen chicken because he'll make a full pan of frozen chicken bites and I'll have 4 off the pan because that's normal. That's a normal proportion. That's actually a little bit small. I could probably get away with like maybe 5.5 if I, because I don't eat meat during the day. Like I don't eat a lot of protein during the day. Sometimes I'll have a day where I don't eat any meat at all and I'll just substitute with a little bit of cheese or something.
Yeah.
Just based off of what my body asks for. But I don't eat bread either. So like I might have a wrap once every 2 weeks. Whereas he'll eat a whole loaf in a day.
God damn.
And probably about 900 grams of meat.
That's a lot. That is a lot there.
It's and I will sit there and I'll be like, hey, this is actually a normal portion. Like for a guy, like I could see him having like maybe 6 or 7 pieces of chicken as a normal proportion for a dude. And he's just like, I couldn't do it. And I'm like, you could. You would suffer for a while. Like
I can eat some chicken.
Like you suffer for a little bit on the diet. Like I told him, like there's days where I wake up, like during the summer, I couldn't drink coffee because I'd wake up with an empty stomach, and then you drink a coffee and it's like pure acid on top of acid and you just boil for a good couple of hours. And I would end up throwing up every morning.
Real quick. It is that time. You all know what time it is.
The party break.
The old man has to step away for a minute. So carry on.
No, it's an interesting situation, and he's failed a couple times because he wanted to get the operation to get the tie on it. I think it's just the band.
Gastric band.
Yeah, just to at least try something. He wanted, because he saw all his friends doing it, and my dad's like, listen, it's not that we are opposed to you doing it. We refuse to pay for it because we can't afford it, but it's just you can't eat on those, and he would try. And that's how you kill yourself.
Yeah.
And they even told
he should be trying to like prove himself that he can diet.
At least lose 100 pounds on your own. At 550 pounds, if you lose at least 100 on your own, the government will help you with it. Like it needs to be, you need to shrink your liver enough that they can do the operation. And you need to prove that you're actually going to like do something with it, because the whole idea is to get you off, like, because he's on government aid at this point, because he's not able to move. You know,
Jeez.
at 350 pounds, he was fine as a security guard because he was getting exercise. You know, you walk back and forth. Like he was a downtown security, so he would do office buildings. So you're traveling around at least 4 buildings in and out of the terminals. You know, going up and down the floors.
Yeah.
You know, and you do that every hour. Yeah, you can maintain your weight. But he also lived downtown, so he was constantly eating out.
Yeah.
Refused to learn how to cook. He knows how to cook. He just refused to learn how to cook, lost any skill that he ever had. And now he just, and then he looks at me, he's like, well, you know how to cook. Well, I don't cook enough for him. I
love that how he just looks at you. Go on, you cook then.
You cook then. And I'm like, because I can cook healthy and I do. It's just, if I do it, I'm cooking my proportion.
Yeah.
So he eats my proportion, then he'll go and eat that pot of pasta. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Just eat the pasta.
Well, he's a big boy. He's you don't get on top of that. You know, it's you know the health risks.
He's been that heavy for about 7-8 years. Like once he lost his last job, you know, he just lost any interest in trying.
Yeah.
And then that's just it. Like I think there's a part of him who's just like, you know what, if I die like this, I don't care. And it just drives the rest of us wild because you love the guy. Like, he's still my brother. You know, I think he's an idiot for it, but I still love him. But I can't play the mind games with them anymore. Like, it's when you argue with somebody on drugs, you still love them and you still try to help give them whatever you can, but you have to be really careful because he's used me for years as an enabler. You know, and it's one of those things where, like, I would catch myself. I'm like, oh crap, you know, this is what he's doing. Or, you know, I'd have to take his card from him so that he wouldn't order pizza when he'd get paid.
Yeah.
You know, it's things like that with those guys that, you know, the legal system, you can't do that. You can't just take his card. You know, I can't legally keep his card from him.
Well, what's he going to do? He's going to get up and chase you, is he? He don't fucking sound like it. Get him some exercise, wouldn't it? Take his bank card.
I know, right?
I would do it. I wouldn't give a shit.
Make him chase you around the house a few times.
Yeah, I would do that. I think fuck. I'd do it to my own mother if it meant saving her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not trying to guilt you. I'm just saying.
Oh no,
like,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's just
throw shit at him, Jen. Like, make him work for the food. Like, yeah, just attach like a pizza slice to you know, a fishing rod, glue it to his back, and watch the fun. You film that shit, you'll get 1 million views. Yeah.
I should do that. You know what? If I do, I'll contact his friends too, because they'll help me with it.
Yeah.
I mean, his friend actually suggested that I put laxatives in his ice cream.
Well, I mean, certainly one way to get him moving really quickly and get him to lose weight. I mean, you have to be careful with laxatives, though. They can be quite dangerous if you use too much. But
I was like, I'll just get a chocolate, you know, like just get a chocolate, chop it into little pieces and just mix it into his ice cream. So every time you eat, I mean, I don't even buy ice cream. Like, I haven't bought ice cream in almost a year and a half. If I do, like, I'll go to, like, we have a convenience store and I'll just buy a single one and bring him one. It's like, you know, you haven't had ice cream all summer. Here's an ice cream cone. You know, but and here I am baking a bunch of Christmas cookies for his friend. Like, his friend drove us around probably all summer because my parents were out of town. I have no vehicle. And so I was like, well, we owe your friend gas money. So I'm going to give him the biggest box of cookies as a thing between now and when we pay him, because he knows my brother.
Yeah.
And he knows his issues, and like he'll come and pick me up, and he's just like, "How are you doing, Jen?" And I'm like, I haven't killed him yet.
I haven't killed him. Well, you just force him into a diet. No, fuck his human rights.
Just throw everything. Well, I'm planning on doing that. Like, once January kicks around, I'm replacing everything in the fridge with vegetables. If if it has to be pre-cut vegetables, that's fine. I'm just gonna fill it with those because they're actually cheaper now than buying them. We're really weird where I am right now.
You're
You go
Canadian,
in.
I know.
It's
It's
no,
an
it's like
affliction.
it's like you go to buy a head of cauliflower and you're spending like $5 on it, but I could get a bag of mixed vegetables with broccoli and carrots and cauliflower for the same price. So it's like
Frozen though, yeah.
no, not frozen, fresh.
Oh, not frozen.
Yeah, fresh.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean we do have like don't get me wrong, we do freeze a lot of stuff, but
You
most
put it
of our
outside then.
Well, my mom's done that many a year. You know, if you have to put something down for like a dinner party, and you're just like, you know what, I got to cool this down now. You just stick it outside for like 10 minutes, and you bring it in. You're like, yep, perfect.
It's not freezing when it comes out. Like,
it's not freezing. It shouldn't be.
It's Canada though. You live in a giant freezer box.
Yes, but there's a difference between where I live and where, say, like Functional lives in Ontario. And he's got a blizzard. And I live in Alberta, and it's... You guys go by Celsius, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm -4 right now. I think he's minus, like, probably 12.
Oh, delightful.
You know, so there's, like, we have this lovely thing in Alberta called a Chinook. So we've had one every week since the year began. And this is why we don't recommend that people like Greta come to our province, because you can't really gauge the weather here. So it's kind of it's a phenomenon that's been here since long before we ever got to Canada, because the damn thing is called a Chinook, and you know damn well no Englishman made that name up. But it's just hot air that gets trapped in between the mountains between BC and upper northern Canada, and I believe that's the Northwest Territories. And so it gets tunneled down Alberta. So Eastern Canada could be -20 Celsius, and we could be sitting there at -1 Celsius or -1 Celsius.
Okay.
So we're kind of weird that way. But on the other hand, the Chinook will fuck off, and then we drop to like -34, which is colder than everybody else. So it's just it's a weird thing where like your week could start off at -1, and then by the end of the week you could be -20, and then in the other side of it,
Greta's coming to your province.
I think she's gone through our province. She didn't even stop here because we are the province of the dirty Alberta oil, and you know how much she loves oil, even though she's a dirty hypocrite. But yeah, nobody on the side of the Extinction Rebellion side or the we got to save the environment side, they don't stop in our province, because they know that if they were to stop in our province, that their argument falls flat. Because what they've done with our province is they've prevented us from getting out to China and helping them get them some oil so they can get off their fucking coal. Alberta is able to produce oil at a safer rate than anywhere else in the world. Canadian engineering, when it comes to bringing oil out of the water, out of the ground, is the cleanest way of doing it. Like that's.
Sorry, I was reading the chat. Jenkins is not sure why the word Chinook made me think of Frank Zappa. That's because of Nanook in the song Yellow Snow.
Yeah.
No, it didn't.
Hello, Mrs. Bloodwing.
Yeah, that's not the president's. That's Frank Zappa. Don't eat the yellow snow.
Cryptic's like, I'll send you vegetables, Jen. I told my mom about that last box that you sent to Satsu and how he had the black fungus package at the top, because that box looks like somebody broke into it. And I don't know if it was just the guys who handle the shipping just to make sure like nothing dangerous is in there, because he had a bunch of like, you know, sauces like soy sauce and Maggi sauce and, you know, bottles with liquids. So I don't know if they checked just to see that there wasn't anything illegal or violent, but
off topic a little bit, but I love it when Jen says about, because that's when you can tell she's Canadian.
A boot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I went on their stream, the functional stream with Jen. It's really noticeable when they're together. They're like friggin' Furbies. The Canadians. It gets so much more powerful when they're together.
Oh, my brother got so mad at me because one of my my other American friends. So I've been doing this stream on the side. Pre-Wexit movement, they're no longer named that. They've changed their name to Join the West, which I don't have a problem with that. But we had a room of 56 people on a Discord for the stream. And honest to God, I rubbed it in Scribe's nose because we never had more than 2 people talking at a time. And every single, like half the province, this American's like, you guys sound like Kermit the Frog, like varying degrees of Kermit the Frog. And it was just one of those things where I wouldn't have caught that if I hadn't looked back and was like, God damn it, he's right. Northern Albertans sound like Kermit the Frog. So if you're listening to Jordan Peterson, you're like, why does he sound like that? That's because he's from my province.
It doesn't explain Scribe sounding like Kermit the Frog, though, does it?
No, it doesn't. But he does voices, so.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Functional says take off, you hoser. I've never really used hoser. I mean, I like it. It sounds funny.
What? I thought all you Canadians used that term.
No.
Hoser, hosehead. Take off, eh?
Well, the thing is I've been laying it on thick for the shows too. You know, like sometimes I'll come in and I'll just like try to pull like the heaviest, most stereotypical Canadian accent I can. But I can't keep it up. I can't do it. That's more. That's actually a lot more Ontario and the Maritimes. When you're out here, we sound, generally speaking, we're more Americanized.
Jake, would make sense that to sound like a frog. Don't half of y'all speak French?
Nope. About a third of us speak French. But a third of us speak French, and even then, then, I wouldn't even call that French because I did this to a French fellow by the name of Sam, and I just started playing old Quebec songs to him, and he's like, I understand what he's saying, but man, that's so cute.
Well, I imagine it's like, you know, in the far south here in the States, we have a faction that speak a form of French.
Yeah, the Cree. Yeah, the Cree. I was looking at old maps, like old Quebec. Really, you guys really kicked out a lot of Quebec when you took it over. They just had that weird dangling thing in the U.S., and I'm like, I don't blame you for getting rid of that. I would feel violated too, knowing that they're all French.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not all that bad. I mean, I've met the odd one that wasn't too bad. But the problem is they refuse to speak enough English to understand how badly they get screwed over every political election that we have.
Yeah, come on, chat. In case you didn't get the joke, it was a joke on his part. You know, French frog. Come on.
See, one of the things that they don't tell you about us is if you want to be a politician of any sort in Canada, you have to speak enough French to qualify. I think that's like grade 3, like a 3rd level of Quebec French. So the problem with that, it means that your politicians can say one thing to you and another thing to the other half of your country, because the other half refuses to speak at least enough English to know what's going on. And you're just like, I would speak more French if there was a point to it. If there was a point where I would communicate with them, I would do better. But there's no point because they don't want to. But I could imagine that driving someone like Alex crazy. Could you imagine having to speak to France?
I don't want to. They need to be stopped.
I know, right?
Yeah, well, you know, if you get an argument with them, they're just going to surrender anyway. So
exactly, you know, speak to you in a ridiculous accent.
Of course, I'm French. Where do you think I got this outrageous accent?
freaking French people. They smell as well.
I was gonna say they have like it's one of those things like, why does everybody just assume that we smell them? Like, because you guys sell the least amount of soap out of everybody on the planet. There are people in Africa who spend more money on soap than you do.
That's pretty bad.
I'm just saying.
With your baguettes and your cheese markets.
And then the worst thing is they try
I like
to cover
cheese
up.
though.
I do like cheese.
I like cheese too, but the cheese market is an abomination.
I don't know. Never been there.
Yeah, there was this channel that I watched, and he was interviewing this French lady with her cheeses, and she's like, "If it does not smell like God's feet, it's not good cheese."
God's feet. Mmm.
Yummy, right?
Yummy.
But she was also into selling blues, so I mean, I imagine with blues, probably if it's not stinky cheese, it's probably not a good blue.
Yuck.
I know, right?
I don't know.
And your mother smells of elderberries. You would know you bathed in them. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
I thought it was the other way around. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberries. Pretty sure it is.
No.
Kid, what the fuck does God's feet smell like? Blue cheese, apparently.
I like blue cheese in certain conditions. You know, I like blue cheese dressing.
In certain cooking, it's good. Like I know one my mom used to do back when she was spending money on beef, where she would just put a little bit of a hole in the steak and then fill it with blue cheese and then give it to my dad to grill.
It goes good with chicken.
Oh yes.
Yeah. The stench of French women is why the French sell perfume.
Well, that and the hair pieces. Like I know this is back in the day. Like they don't obviously wear them anymore, but like those old crazy hair pieces. And I'd look at them like, I wouldn't want to put anything on my head that has the potential of having living things in it. Or flaming hazard.
The French don't mind. They're smelly bastards, a lot of them.
So you know what that's done for me though, Alex? It's taught me that when somebody's like, this is fashionable, I really look at it differently. I'm like, is it fashionable or is it gross?
It's gross.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I've never been much of a fashion plate myself. You know.
And now that you've brought up eau de toilette, it does remind me that one part of the castle is still called a buttress. That was my phase during the summer too. I went through this whole going through ancient castles in England and France because there's tons of. It's one of the few BBC programs that you could still find every once in a while that aren't too bad, especially Tommy Robinson. But like they would go through like, you know, the different dig ups that they would do and the buttress.
The buttress.
The buttress. I'm not pronouncing it right because I can't, but buttress.
You're just laughing your tits off over there, aren't you, Jen? You're having a good time.
I've been playing far too many building games is what I've been doing. Like I joked with my brother about making an abode igloo up in the middle of Alberta just leave it there. Just a mud brick igloo. So people walking by are like, wait, what?
Speaking of games, you still on a Ring World kick there, Alex?
I was going to play it last night. I didn't because I felt like I was dying. I'm gonna try a Twitch stream a bit after this. I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna play Stardew Valley for a bit.
Oh yeah.
That was the most Canadian thing I've ever heard come out of your mouth.
Well, that's excitement on my end because it's like I'd play that game. I play.
Yeah,
a lot
I've not played it since the update. So
they did a lot. I haven't played through the whole thing. It's one of those things where I am trying to do an open server for it. But it's just finding people available at the same
I forgot
time.
they introduced the multiplayer thing, didn't they?
They did, yeah. It's not too bad. Like the new map that they've added is really meant for that. I mean, you can use it on your own too, because it's probably the biggest map they have.
Yeah.
And it's sectioned off, which I like because it allows me to like, okay, I'm going to put something on this end, something on this end, and something on this end. Because a lot of the stuff that they've introduced takes up space.
Mm.
So I would highly recommend experimenting with that map first, just especially if you want to explore everything that's new, because it gives you the space and it allows you to keep a big farm at the same time. But yeah, it looks like they've done a lot. So anytime you see me playing, just let me know if you want to jump on or something. I don't care. I like playing the game, and I only have so many games that my computer allows me to play. It's like 7 days. I keep trying to come back to it, but for some reason the connection and me and everybody else who plays it just, I don't know what's going on with it. But I've tried tweaking it, and
I don't know.
yeah, it just is what it is. But like I played The Forest with Lope and Geodes the other day, and if ever there's one that you want to watch me stream, that's the one to do it with, because I scream a lot.
Where do you stream?
So I do a little bit on YouTube, but mostly I'm doing it on DLive.
Yeah.
I know. You're like, I do. I could do Twitch. It's just I find the DLive layout is easier.
Well, yeah, it is. And Twitch is quite complicated if you don't know how to use it. So there's a lot going on that platform, and that was the last time I used it. Now there's loads of shit on it. It's all kinds of crazy.
I mean, at some point, I'm probably going to visit Twitch as well, because it's like everyone's been saying, if you really want to get your foot out there, you should do multiple platforms. It's just right now, my computer really can't handle like a dual stream. Like I couldn't do YouTube and DLive at the same time. I wouldn't trust my computer not to crash.
I haven't been on Twitch since Alex was streaming Warframe. That's how long it's been.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Yeah, just no desire. No desire. Lately, for the last few days, I've been playing one of my favorite games, Saints Row the Third.
Okay.
I really like that game. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not much for the games for me. Like I mean, I did do The Forest with Lope and Geodes, but it's one of those things where I'm trying to set one up with functional, so that we're not just doing the political streams. We've got something more fun in between. So we just have to pick a game that both of us can play. But yeah, we're in the works towards it.
Jay Kisses, it did end up working on that dinosaur. Yeah, I had to tweak it a little bit, and I have to use DirectX 9 instead of 10 and 11. But yeah, I got it working, and it looks pretty decent. So, Byron King asks, "What are my thoughts on Fortnite?" I don't know. I could never get it running smoothly on my machine, which drives me nuts because the graphics on that game aren't that top notch.
Yeah, I mean it's a very simplified design.
Yeah, but I could never get it working well enough on my rig to play it comfortably. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird for that. Like, I don't know. For some games, like The Forest, I found, I lowered the graphics on that one, and it didn't change how it looked at all. Like, I mean, the gameplay was completely different. Like, it was much smoother. And that one lasted me for about 2.5 hours before my computer was like, nope. That's how I end my streams now. My computer just decides for me.
Kitty Star says, I miss watching Alex roam around in a big mecha and blowing stuff up.
For which one?
I don't know. Silence, I guess. I just noticed that he's muted, so must be something going on there. Yeah, that's been pretty much it for me on games. Been.
Yeah, I finally caught up with one of your with your Redneck trek, which is good. So
Good.
because I missed 2 of those, and like 2 of them was just due to like pure exhaustion, and then
Well, yeah.
but I was like, yeah, I got them, and then I caught it last weekend. So
Yeah. As soon as the stream's over, I got to get to editing this. I've been busy and lazy both, and haven't started the editing process yet. But I got to get that done so that I can render it tonight, so it'll be ready to upload in the morning. Because with my old stream, it'll take about 4 hours to render.
do you get any like Christmas hours next week? Like sometimes I don't know, like usually Christmas is off, but
I don't know what the week of Christmas, what my schedule is then. We were lucky to get, my manager's been off. She hurt her back, and so she's been off. So we were lucky to even get a schedule, period. But I don't know what Christmas week schedule is. I'm interested to see because,
maybe you get.
I don't know what I'm going to be able to do that week yet.
Sometimes it's a hit and miss because it's like, if you, and it depends. I know the US is different for this kind of stuff. Like up here, part-timer, I was always happy to take the holiday hours because it was still time and a half. So I would take, I actually got away with a lot more holiday hour pay than a lot of people would have, because most of the seniors where I worked, they all wanted to host those days, so they wanted them off anyway. And I was like, you know what? I'm young. This is when you get the money, Jen.
Yeah. Well, I'm technically part-time, so I doubt very seriously I would get overtime pay or any kind of holiday pay. So.
Yeah, the US is very different from that, from us in that sense. Like up here, if it doesn't matter where you work or what hours you get. The difference is if you're full-time, you get double time and a half if you work the holidays. So it was nice when I worked at Safeway because I wasn't classified as full-time, but I got enough hours that I still classified for the benefit of it. So I would still get the double time and a half. So
that's the way FedEx is double time and a half on the holidays. Now in our shop, we're going to be closed on all the major holidays. So,
yeah, that's usually Christmas Day and then New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, Lord forbid people don't go shopping on those days. Up here, we don't have New Year's Day anymore. We used to. It was just there's enough people that don't necessarily celebrate that day. Like not every. There's some people that even at an age like you don't necessarily drink that much, or maybe you don't celebrate at that time because like Asians hold. They still celebrate it in Canada at that time, but a lot of them might take their New Year's for Chinese New Year's because they, culturally speaking, it's a different time.
Right.
It's the same with Russians. Like Russians celebrate Christmas in January. They don't celebrate it in December. Well, their version of it. It's a bit different.
Sorry, Alfie came in here wanting to talk.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
RL first, always.
Mm-hmm.
So is he excited for Christmas?
Of course he is.
Yeah.
He loves it, doesn't he? Loves it.
Yeah. I wouldn't even celebrate Christmas if it weren't for my grandkids.
That's who I would celebrate it for anyway. As an adult, like it's nice, but it's more fun for kids.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, the only good thing about it is food, and I can't eat food anymore. That's a problem. My stomach size is reduced, so I can't eat as much as I used to be able to.
That's all right. I'll eat your share.
No, you won't. I'll wait.
It was one of those things that Monkey said that I kind of agree with, is a lot of people do Christmas wrong when it comes to their kids. Because they open up their presents, and then a lot of people will drag their kids from place to place to place. And it's like, actually, you'd be better off just letting them play with their toys, because they've just opened up a toy that they've probably been waiting for a really long time.
Well, in our family, we do all that running stuff, on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
And that's when we all get together, usually on Christmas Eve, and where we give our grandkids their gifts, and they open the gifts from us and from their aunts and uncles and stuff on Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day, that's just for their immediate family.
Yeah. that makes more sense. I think some people like it's we're not much different from you guys. Like everybody does a little bit different, but I think in hindsight that's the best way to go about it. Cuz it's better to have one day that's just designated to the family, you know?
Yeah. Jake says we won't have Christmas food anyway. Isn't it at Mama Minnie's this year? That's what I'm being told anyway. I don't know. I just go along with the crowd.
Now, here's one thing I could complain as a Canadian. So, where I am, we are more of a province that you would go to for skiing or snowboarding because we have bobsleighing. We have powder. We don't have proper building snow.
Some people say, you can't believe Jamaica, we have a bobsleigh team.
You know, we filmed that here. John,
well, yeah, I would hope so, because that's where it's supposed to be. Yeah, Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
in Canada.
Well, it was one of those things. I was 8 at the time, and it was one of those things where we had the offer to go down to be an extra. You just stood in the crowd, and you might have been on TV or a movie. Yeah. But I never went because I was like, no, screw that.
Yeah, he says it is in Michigan. Both of them. I hope to make it. I don't know. I don't know what my schedule is for that week. No, don't know. So,
hi, Siddick. I always yell his name. It's this thing with the Aussies and yelling names, and I blame Peter from Australia because he's the one who started it.
Yeah.
But man, did I break Peter Mannix because like I kept yelling at Peter from Australia, and he was like, Jen. I'm like, okay, well I'll yell your name too. So I was like, so he's Peter.
Oh.
And now there's a third and a fourth Peter, so I'm like, oh god. So now I'm yelling Peter, and then Peter.
Pumpkin eater.
Yes.
I'm actually hungry.
Well, good. Maybe you can eat.
Yeah, I won't be able to eat a lot though. So
you don't know till you give it a try.
I know what'll happen because I do it every day, mate. My video's still monetized. Give it a minute. It's been out to the channel members now for a little bit. What time did I? Let me see. How long's it been?
So just so you guys know, after the stream is done, you should definitely go and watch Alex's video because if he's still monetized, let's get him some more money, even if it's just
not public.
Oh crap!
It's only out to my channel members at the moment.
Aw.
Yeah.
I tried.
No, it's okay.
Even if it was enough to just buy you a pack of gum in the UK.
Well, I've been doing it right in terms of ad revenue recently. I mean, the last few videos were demonetized. It really pissed me off. I mean, my female Onision video, so that was a hoofer of a video. Demonetized. Fuck you. You know how many ads I could have put in that? I could have put 20 in there. And people wouldn't have got mad.
Because it would have been at least enough every few minutes to take the image of Chantel away.
Exactly. I would have been a bigger bastard about it and put in those little piddly ones that you can click off.
Yeah.
After I get in loads of those, just so you can get to see Shani's face whilst you make me money. I need a toilet as well. I got it queued up after the stream. Yes, because you're a channel member, you have access to it. Yeah, I like that video. Screw YouTube. It was a lot of effort. It was a lot of work, man. It took like 5 days to bloody make, and that was with help from numerous people. She was Shani. That bitch is crazy.
She cray.
Yeah, she's not even the good kind of crazy. You can't put your willy in. She's too chunky around the base, you know. You saw her booty. You saw it. I shared it on Twitter.
Yeah.
She thought I was sharing her nudes. It's not my fault. Her clothes are so skin tight that she looks naked. Fat bitch.
Don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like her because she's a genuine scumbag. Like with Chantel, all right, she's a knobhead, yeah. But I don't hate her. I don't dislike the woman. I'm sure we'd have a wonderful time together. We have a magical evening together.
What's amazing is
Dumpster diving.
If she would just let you interview her, you probably would have a good conversation.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, we probably have a laugh as well. With Shani though, it can't be done.
No.
The science has been proven. I've done it. I've done the science. It's impossible. It can't be done.
Yep.
She's a creature.
Yeah, there's just some people like that.
Hi, Alfie, in the background.
Hi, Alfie.
He can't hear you. He's not in the. He's not
I
in the
know.
He's not,
I know.
In my office.
I know.
You big floppy donkey dick. You can't schedule streams on Twitch, though, can you?
I don't know.
You just have to go live. So, like, your followers would don't have a sub feed, do they?
Again, I don't know. Like I said, it's been a very long time since I've even been on the site.
Well, you couldn't back then. I know that much. Oh my god! Report. I'm going to report myself. You die quietly.
Yep, functional is just like that means she's got plenty of folds you can stick it in.
Yeah,
but there's like bits of cheese and like mayo in there that's been there for a while. It's gone green and stuff. I'm getting really hungry.
Oh Lord!
I need to go to the toilet. I'll go hold it in like a soldier.
You can do it.
We're almost to the end of it. There's 9 minutes left.
The last time I nearly shit myself. Do you remember?
Yeah, well, don't do that.
I'll try not to, but it might happen. Puppenhausen, yeah. I don't know what my stream overlay should be. It should just be little gifs of Jen roaring.
I've had
exactly.
I've had some interesting ones because I've revisited Raft with random, and it's like the minute I put that shark head on, I have to do like some weird stance and because I sound like I sound like that every time I do it.
I love it. I think it's hilarious. It cracks me up every time I hear it. I sometimes go to Satsu's channel just to watch that clip. It gets me every time.
It's one of those things in later life when I'm like, you know what, maybe I should have put more effort into because I had that moment when I was in my 20s where I really wanted to be a voice actor because that's really when the anime kind of came out. And I was old school into the Dragon Ball Z, and for the record, my hatred towards Funimation has been for that long. So the stuff with Vic doesn't surprise me even in the slightest.
Yeah.
But it was during that time period where, I was looking at Funimation and being like, okay, well, I can see these guys being voice actors. Why can't I? And I was about ready to learn Japanese, at least enough to kind of have an understanding of the conversation, But the lady was like, you're going to have to learn the written stuff first. And I was like, one thing at a time. One thing at a time, because that's a completely different alphabet. And not even just one alphabet. There's three, and understanding which one is which at which time. And I was like, I'm not going to learn how to read that first before you explain the basics of the language. You kind of integrate them at the same time if you can. And she was a little bit more like, is this how you learned it when you were growing up? No, it's not going to work for me either. But I've looked back on it and I'm like, I probably do have a lot more ranges with my voice than I've given myself credit for. Because I can technically sing all right too.
Yeah.
It's not like I couldn't still do it. It's not like I'm 38 years old. It's not like I'm ancient. Let's be real. There's tons of people who've changed their course. And
you're scarily close to middle age, though. I
know. I hit the wall like years ago, though. I hit that wall before any other woman should ever hit that wall because I was just like, no.
Shoot, I busted right on through that wall and out the other side.
Pretty much.
Oh.
But still, like it's not like I get away with it all the time though. Like, you know, even if you were to meet me in public, most people think I'm like 8 years younger than I am. So I still have room. I still have room to do stuff.
Get her done.
Get her done.
I'll join you. We'll go. We'll march into the Funimation studios together, and demand that we be given roles. I'm going to play a lolly.
Oh Lord!
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
I cannot get that high. So I wish I could, but I can't.
But you can imagine how amazing that would be as a spoof, though.
I don't know. A pair of ice grips might work wonders. Might get you up there.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But we are nearly at the end of the stream. So we're getting to the point where I ask everybody if there's anything they want to shout out. And I'll start with Alex.
Yep.
Oh, don't do that.
Why not?
I don't want to.
Don't tell me what to do. I do what I want to.
Yeah, but I can delegate onto Jen. In fact, I'm going to show myself and then go, mate, because I need a poo. It's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to eat as well. So thank you very much, Blobbing, for having me. In a couple of hours' time, I'll be premiering a video on Irate Alex. It is a standalone Lord Bear video with, of course, his brother, Duke Dick, who's extra creepy. Michael One has already watched it. He sent me a DM saying it freaked him out a little bit. Good, that's what he's there for. It is a response to Chantal Marie threatening to flag everybody who makes videos on her, thus abusing the terms of service, even with the new terms of service. I think it's funny. I don't know if it is or not. Also, I'm gonna do a stream on Twitch for a little bit, not for very long though. I just need to get my shit in one sock over there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be playing some Stardew Valley, and I've not played the new update. So I'm probably going to get like an hour or something over there. I'd be very pleased for you to join me and give me money whilst I play the game.
There you go.
Yeah. No, come say hello and just with shit post. I'm going to turn my camera. But yeah, thank you for having me. And thank you, Jen, for roaring for me.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you soon.
Alrighty, man. Be careful.
Thank you. I will do. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Toodles. Okay. Jen, is there anything you want to shout out?
Okay, so a quick shout out to Functional's channel because we're going to be doing a stream on his end at about 3. And we'll probably be covering a little bit of Canadian politics, but we kind of stick to half an hour of the politics just because, let's be real, nobody wants to cover that the entire time. And then we kind of go into more entertainment topics and things like that. And we are guested by Cryptic today, so that'll be fun. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Well, and as for me, as I said, as soon as the stream's over, I'm going to start working on Redneck Trek so that it will be available for premiere tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. The next Redneck Radio will be Thursday, unfortunately, because I do have to work on Tuesday and Saturday. Hopefully that'll be enough for y'all, because I don't have any choice. I don't have any choice. But thank you, chat, for coming out, support the stream, and doing all the things that you did, and the donations. Always thank you to Alex, even though he's already dropped out, for coming in. Thank you, Jen, for being on.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy visiting you.
Well, sure. I enjoy it too. But we are at that time. It's time to pull the plug, folks. Unfortunately, that 2 hours sure went fast. But anyway, again, thanks everybody. But in the meantime, get out of my yard.
Later, guys.